While there have been a handful of snowboarding games throughout the NES/SNES era, they didn't really pick up in popularity until the PlayStation/N64 era. It started with cool borders on the PS1, but I think the ball really got rolling when the N64 had Snowboard Kids and
1080.
before SSX, you had one-on-one races with tricks and events here, all with characters using Lamar snowboards and wearing Tommy Hilfiger clothing. Combine that with taking advantage of the N64's technical power, a kicking soundtrack, and fun gameplay in spite of the N64's crappy controller. 1080 Snowboarding was well received when it first came out back in 1998. The game sold over 2 million copies, and it even won an Interactive Achievement Award from the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. That's not counting the game getting re-released on the Wii and Wii U Virtual Consoles in 2008 and 2016 respectively. In addition to appearing on the Nintendo Classic service since 2023 for the Switch. Naturally, with such a success, Nintendo wanted a sequel. While Nintendo's EAD division developed the original game, the Big N had other plans for the sequel. Originally, it started at Left Field Productions for the N64. Left Field had done some work for Nintendo, such as the NBA Courtside games and even Excitebike 64. However, with the N64 nearing end of life, the game was moved over to the GameCube after pre-production planning was complete. The game then had its first unveiling at Nintendo Space World 2001 under the name 1080 Snowboarding 2, alongside other upcoming GameCube games, both first and third party. But there was a setback. Left Field Productions, who Nintendo had a minority interest in at the time, to ensure games would keep coming from them exclusively for Nintendo consoles, bought out their own stake in the company so they could make third-party games. This set the game much back. All of Left Field's work was returned to Nintendo, but the game had already been shown at E3 2002 under the name 1080 White Storm, not unlike the name Wave Race Blue Storm, which was also developed by the same developers who made this game, but that was a launch title for the GameCube. It still had touted a good amount of content, a very satisfying gameplay experience, and very nice visuals. Well, I guess in anticipation of this, the version shown at Space World 2001 was scrapped and development was taken over by, well, Nintendo Software Technology. This was Nintendo's American developer designed to make games for the North American market, though many of their games, including this one, were released worldwide, and they're still doing good stuff to this day. It seemed like Nintendo had to put their heads down and really work to get this one out. The game had one more showing at E3 in 2003, missing a planned Q1 2003 date set by E3 2002, under its final name of 1080 Avalanche, and the game really continued to shape up nicely. By July of 2003, Nintendo gave the release date for this one being December 1st of that year for North America. The game had one last showing at ECTS 2003 in London. 1080 Avalanche, known as 1080 Silver Storm in Japan, was developed by Nintendo Software Technology, published by Nintendo, and released exclusively on the GameCube on November 28, 2003 for Europe, December 1st, 2003 for North America, and January 22nd, 2004 for Japan. 1080 Avalanche offers a different flair compared to SSX, but it does offer a more unique challenge and exciting gameplay that not only helps set it apart from the competition, it's a fun game in its own right. 1080 Avalanche has several modes of play. Gate Challenge will have you navigate through a set of gates down the course to extend your time, in between the various checkpoints you'll hit. Trick Attack has you try to get the highest score by doing tricks. There are 3 courses, a big air one, a half pipe one, and a slopestyle one, not unlike the ones seen in the SSX games. You have a limited amount of time to get the highest score possible and get to the end. More on doing tricks when we get to the controls. Time Trial has you go down the various courses with you just against the clock. Though the courses in this mode, as you race throughout them, you can collect 5 fragments to form a coin. You can get enough coins for various unlockables, more on that towards the end. You can also do split-screen multiplayer, and even a LAN setup where each player has their own GameCube and TV to play on. The main mode of the game you'll play on is Match Race. You'll have a certain amount of one-on-one races to complete. Complete one race and you move on to the next. Lose the race and you lose a life. You can retry a race, but you'll have to start the specific circuit over from the beginning if you lose all 3 lives before you finish. The last challenge typically will involve a race down a mountain by yourself in which something will go wrong and you'll need to outrun one of the game's many various hazards you will encounter. Rock slides and other stuff here, and the titular avalanches. It really ramps up on expert. Complete novice to unlock hard, and hard to unlock expert. There's also extreme if you beat expert match race. There may only be 4 match race challenges, the other modes more than make up for it, and you're going to want to spend time there due to the gameplay. 1080 Avalanche's gameplay isn't too far off from SSX and the like. The main difference is that every race is a one-on-one race sans multiplayer races where you can have up to 4. The racing is also more simplified. There's no pre-winding your tricks or anything like that. And on top of that, the trick system is completely different. Rather than hitting the shoulder buttons in various combinations or whatever adjusted scheme you're using if you're not playing the PS2 versions of the SSX games, you have one flip/spin button which you can hold and push the analog stick in any direction in order to flip or spin, and 3 different grab buttons. You also don't have as much air as you do compared to the SSX games, so you have to be quicker and efficient when pulling off tricks. Also, as opposed to SSX where one landing will have you go down, if you land badly here, you have a moment to rotate the left analog stick quickly to regain your balance. You'll be doing that more than you realize. You can also tuck to gain more speed, which is kind of the equivalency to crouching in SSX, but this will make you not able to turn as much compared to if you're not crouching. So use it wisely. As you do more tricks, your power meter will fill up. If your meter fills up, your character will elicit a glow. This effect isn't just for show. If you hit an object that would normally knock you down or run into another person, be it your opponent or an NPC on the course, you will be protected because you will be able to get back up immediately and you won't lose a point off your damage bar. This is especially useful in match race where you can damage out if you're not careful. I think this game tends to lean more towards a mix of intense realism and arcade-like as opposed to full-on arcade like the SSX games. So the game isn't that difficult to pick up on. It's more difficult to master due to how it handles combined with the trick system, but it's rewarding once you master it. The controls are pretty good. L is to tuck. You can also use it to land and help with grinding. R is your flip/spin button. Hold it while pushing the analog stick either up and down or left and right respectively. B, X, and Y are the trick buttons for your grabs. You can hold them while spinning or flipping, or just hold them by themselves. And you can also push several of them like in a row to mix up your tricks. C-stick can be used to control the camera. Left and right pan in their respective directions, and up and down can zoom the camera in and out respectively. A button is to jump. Time it to when the meter is full, but remember to let go or it will reset. And the left analog stick is used to steer. You can also push forward for a small dash, back for a brake, and you can use it to balance when grinding on rails. I didn't find myself using the land button very much, and I forgot that B could even be used as a trick button, let alone the fact that the Z button is not used throughout the entire game. This system isn't as easy to pick up and play as SSX. It feels more like the snowboard equivalency to ATV Off-Road Fury and the MX games and their control schemes, but I think it properly reflects the gameplay well. To be fair, button inputs work as they should with no delays. The layout is easy enough to understand, and the trick system is actually pretty well mapped out given the GameCube controller's layout, much like SSX control scheme being built with the PS2 controller in mind. Don't go into this thinking you can play it like SSX, both gameplay and control-wise. It really is more like the original 1080 snowboarding, but way more tightened and refined, especially given the ability to recover more easily from a bad landing. One of the other reasons I didn't use L as much. Though the way the tricks are feels more like you have to be quick and know what to do and when you can do it. If you've played the original, you'll pick up on it easily. Anyone else? There's a bit of a curve. Overall, the controls are good. The graphics here are also very good. In spite of the GameCube only using mini discs, the actual hardware inside is no slouch, and this game has a lot of good graphical stuff going on. The character models are pretty well designed, and many of them are familiar to those who played the original game. Returning from the original game are Ricky Winterborn, Rob Haywood, and Akari Hayami. Kensuke Kimachi and Dion Blaster do not return from the original game. They've been replaced with Cayman Vazquez, known as Raul Alvarado in the Japanese version for some reason, and Tara Hunter. The returning veterans have new outfits that offer some variety, and also further show how long it's been since the original game took place versus, when this one seemingly takes place. From Akari's full winter getup, Rob's less winter getup, the others being somewhere in between, it's all well rendered. That's not counting the bonus outfits or the secret characters to unlock. The boards themselves do have a good amount of variety, and I think each represent the personalities of the characters well. There's also a bunch of alternate designs that you can unlock. It's not just this part, though, that looks good. The entire design of the game's environments are also very strong. For starters, there's a good amount of variety in them. You've got basic slopes that help you warm up, winter villages that start at the top and can take you through a barn/lodge, a backwoods area that cuts through a logging mill, a city that has you cut through various buildings and garages. Waiting for you at the finish line is none other than a giant ice statue of Mario himself, and down an icy roadway where you have to be mindful of various road accidents going on, which will later send you through a rail yard. And some back mountain stuff, not unlike the peaks in SSX3, which even have animals to enhance the nature of it all. That's not even counting the last courses where most of the extreme hazards will try and stop you. You kind of see that with many of the other later courses. Harsher snow conditions make it harder to turn, rocks threatening to take you out, caves that could, cave in on you, etc. But the biggest challenges are the avalanches. When you get to the last race in Expert and Extreme, and to a lesser degree Hard, you pretty much spend the entire race trying to outrun an avalanche that wants to end you, although on Hard it's more of a rock slide. To actually render them properly, the developers watched a documentary on snow slides, and they made sure the processing wasn't too intense because they still wanted some realism, at least within the confines of what the GameCube could handle. Not to mention, they look well, and the effects of coating your snowboarder with powder, the more time they spend in it, looks cool. That's another thing that's impressive here. The small effects. Like, for example, your character spends enough time in ankle-deep snow, and you can actually still see the snow powder around their ankles once you leave it, as well as it hitting other parts of their body and their outfits depending on the environment. Wind effects look pretty good and feel intense. And like I said, stronger snow pelting to the rest of your character. You see it on their clothes. Rocks breaking and snow coming out of them. Objects falling apart. There's just so much going on, too. And it all looks good. On top of the motion captured animations for the characters, which look smooth. The only downside here is the frame rate. When the action gets a bit too intense, the frame rate can take a hit. The game does run smooth at 60 frames per second, otherwise, sans 3 to 4 player multiplayer when doing split screen. Nintendo software technology knew how to show off the power of the GameCube with Wave Race Blue Storm, and this game shows just how further they came along since that game. The sound design also has a lot of good stuff going on in it. Sounds can actually be affected depending on the environment, and I don't just mean the locations. Your character's voice may sound more echo-like in a cave or in a tunnel/garage. Environmental sounds also do fit the environment well depending on where you are. On top of the usual sounds for things like riding on the various types of land, riding on ice feels as dangerous as it sounds, grinding on rails, jumping on certain objects, landing, etc. I think it's more immersive than SSX sound design, but it doesn't have the music effect that SSX does. Still, that doesn't undermine any of the other sound design choices in this game, and they will further help you feel immersed in it. The music here is also very good. We have a mix of licensed music with some original music. The original music is more techno-oriented and sounds fine enough. One of the tracks, Squids at the Kiosk, was even used for some of the GameCube kiosk demo discs, at least from around this time when the game was a thing. But the real standouts are the licensed tracks. These were all taken from bands signed to Wind Up Records at the time. These include Finger 11, whose Good Times appears here, like it did in SSX 3, Boy Sets Fire, whose Handful of Redemption appears here like it did in Tiger Woods PGA Tour and MVP Baseball 2003, Seether, whose Fine Again appears here like it did in Madden 2003, and Cauterize. After appearing as the opening act on Nintendo's Fusion Tour, their song Choke was featured throughout the game alongside Killing Me from the same album, So Far From Real. It's a solid mix that fits the game and genres well and has some familiar favorites. Voice acting is good. It's more in line with less than SSX3 and not as noteworthy as Tricky, but it sounds good and gets the job done. Interesting fact, in the Japanese version of the game, Akari actually speaks Japanese since, well, she's from Japan. With bonus boards, earn time trial coins for normal boards and earn gate challenges for trophies for the secret boards. Costumes complete expert match race with a specific character, and secret characters complete extreme match race with a specific character. There is a lot to unlock here. It may take you a while, but it's cool stuff. 1080 Avalanche is a solid snowboarding game backed up with well-designed and executed gameplay. It also looks well, sounds well, controls well, has plenty of content to keep you coming back, and it's just an overall thrilling experience. Maybe even more so than SSX at times, given some of the other environments you encounter. However, the frame rate can get rough in some instances. There is a bit of a curve with mastering the game, and it may seem way more difficult if you go directly from SSX to this. But going from the original to this, it seems the game managed to do what every good sequel should do. Improve upon the original, keep what made the first game work, and just delivered a solid experience. If you like snowboarding games and you haven't played this, please do so. I think it offers something unique compared to the other games in the genre. Japan and PAL CIB copies go for about $20, and NTSC CIB copies go for about $26. If you want to go for the bonus DVD bundle, which has a mini DVD with half an hour of real snowboarding footage along with gameplay footage set to this game's soundtrack, then that is around $40 complete in box. Yeah, the regular version is one of the more affordable GameCube games to get, at least at this moment in time. I give 1080 Avalanche a 4 out of 5. Now, you can turn the video off after this, but I do have a little anecdote. I wanted to get a little bit more personal with what this game especially means to me. But if you're done with the review here and you've already got the gist of what you need, you can go. But just allow me to get a little bit more personal here for a moment. This game leaves a mix of memories with it for me. It served as one of the few actual GameCube exclusives I got to play back in the day when the system was in its prime. While I am thankful for that, it also kind of hurts considering the person who gifted me this game and I weren't on speaking terms for the last 7 years of her life for reasons that I will not get into. This was my dad's mom, who was also the one who gifted me this pain in the ass to collect for system when I wanted an original Xbox. The real short version of the story behind it all is that she was a teacher and she helped with English teaching as well to foreign students, and many of them were Asian, and they were all into Nintendo, and they were all raving about the GameCube and Melee and all the like back in the day, so yeah, I think you can put 2 and 2 together. It also hurts because I only found out she passed away last year, but I only found that out this year. In the end, it leaves me in a glass case of emotions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. To end this at least on a positive note, this reminds me of a time when Nintendo had way more than just their usual franchises and how they actually used them. If one good thing came out of getting this game and that system, it taught me to appreciate Nintendo's not as well-known games, and if nothing else, it makes me pine for the days of games like this, SSX, and Tony Hawk. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Click subscribe below and check out the playlist on screen for more content. To help support the show beyond the usual means, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi on the link tree in the description. And come by my Twitch where I conquer my backlog one game at a time. See you in the next video!